Hello Experiencia, greetings from Laguna Beach, California. We are now in Southern California, but I thought that we would go ahead and film the questions that you had last week because they're so good. So let's take a look back at those three great questions.
Hi, my name is Alondra. My question is, what are the effects of the drought in California?
What are the effects of the drought in California? Well, that's a loaded question. There's a lot of different effects that happen to us as individuals, as families, and as larger institutions like your school, like colleges, and like businesses and other organizations. Without so much water, we need to learn how to cut down on water, how to use it more wisely. Because water is less accessible, sometimes it becomes more costly in the market. We have to pay more for it. In other circumstances, it's illegal to even be using. Since we've been in California, several counties have already made it illegal to wash your car more than once a week, for example. So, a car like ours, not being able to wash it. Other examples are cutting down on how we're gardening our lawns, and even how much water businesses are even allowed to be using.
Hi, my name is Cordell. My question is, how does farmers water their crops when there is a water shortage?
When farmers don't have enough water to water their crops, they have to do one of two things. They have to buy water from outside areas where they're not typically getting water from, or second, they don't have water to plant, so they're not planting seeds and they're not making crops. This harvest already has been well below its mark. They state that more than 200,000 acres in California aren't being used for agriculture. They predict that that's about 1.5 to even $2 billion worth of revenue that farmers aren't earning because they don't have the crops to sell in the market. So for farmers that can't afford hauling water from far away, they have to just leave their fields dry. For those that can't afford to bring in water, they have to spend a lot of money to get it from far away places.
My name is Jesus, and my question is, if there's a drought, would it affect the water cycle?
Would a drought affect the water cycle? That's a great question. Drought, let me be clear, is a naturally occurring thing. We've had droughts since immediately after the Stone Age. It's something that constantly happens as we approach seasons of rainy and not rainy, wet and dry. In Detroit, as you all know, we have 4 seasons. We have summer, fall, winter, and spring. Well, what we need to be aware of is that when the season does turn dry and we have droughts, how we're consuming water. Now let me give you 2 definitions. We have consumption and we have withdrawal. With consumption is, have you probably heard in the lunch cafeteria, when you eat something, or when you drink something, you consume that beverage or that food. So when we're consuming water, we're using it once and it can't be used again. Now with water withdrawal, we withdraw water from a certain place, but it can be reused. It can go back into the environment. For example, the big water cycle where we have precipitation, that's an example of a withdrawal cycle. Now the problem lies in, especially in the drought, when we're consuming too much water and we're not reusing it. When we're tapping water from reservoirs deep below the soil, where when we take that water out, we can't put it back in. That's called water consumption versus water withdrawal. In times of drought, this is a bad thing. So when this happens, drought does affect the water cycle. Unless we figure out better ways that we can reuse the water so that droughts do not affect our water cycle to the point that we need to be worried about. Thank you very much for these questions. Stay tuned, and I'll see you next week in San Diego.